The D-standard format has existed for over 3 years now by this point, but ever since the format's inception, there's been one massive outlying problem. And that's the Overtrigger. Overtriggers as a mechanic seem to be in line with the mechanics of the game, being another kind of trigger that would keep you in the game until the very last damage. But in practice was an absolute nightmare for the competitive game state. Imagine, if you will, this situation. It's the final turn and your opponent is on the brink of death, and you've played your game impeccably. You go into your first attack of the combat phase, your opponent declares no guard. You think to yourself, you've planned accordingly, you can play and attack through a heal trigger right now. Then, bam, your opponent flips over the damage check and it's the Overtrigger. Your opponent gives the 100 million power to their Vanguard, doesn't get damaged, and you've now lost the game on the crackback. This kind of situation happens for many a player of this game. Locals after locals, tournament after tournament, world championship after world championship, and it is awful. Now, when the D standard was first launched, I personally really liked the Overtriggers. Fun, splashy one-ofs that had unique effects, and because of the nature of them being one-ofs, you could only activate them once. They really made you feel like a protagonist, to steal a phrase from a good friend of mine. However, as I played more and more of Standard, I came to realize something I had missed. Getting sacked sucks, man. While in a moment, checking the Overtrigger might feel amazing and getting that dopamine rush is great, competitively speaking, losing or winning a game off of your brokey sacky one-of is not healthy for the game at all. And slowly but surely, I came to realize the same state of mind as the rest of the player base. While these cool potential once-per-game effects were fun, the 100 million power was just too much, and after a while, I even fell out of love with the effects as well. On average, they were just too strong. Take the Brancate Overtrigger, for example. Elder Breath's effect to double the power and critical of a unit made for unfairly swingy tempo pushes and potentially unguardable numbers. Take that into consideration along with the power to just end a turn when checked defensively, and you can potentially see the issues with just this OT alone. And it didn't stop there. Stoicheia, Blessed Favor being a rainbow trigger, being able to mimic the effects of all non-Overtrigger trigger effects on a single card, Lyrical being a permanent front trigger for the rest of the game, and Galmahild's, well, it's a permanent critical trigger when checked. These triggers are devastating when they're activated. Fast forward to today, and the release of DZ Set 1, and the introduction of Divine Skills. Cool, unique, once-per-game abilities that... Wait a minute. This is starting to sound a bit familiar. That's right, folks, I tricked you all into watching a video where I get to gush about my new favorite mechanic in the game, Divine Skills. In my opinion, the design space for these kinds of effects is ripe with options. At current, though, we only have 7 Divine Skills. 2 for Ketet Sanctuary and 1 for each of the other 5 nations, with potentially 1 more for each nation coming out later this year, as teased in the Japan Tuesday streams. As opposed to Overtriggers, where because of their unsearchable nature, their effects had to be absurdly broken to compensate, Divine Skills are able to have more manageable skills since they're attached to Vanguards and are, by nature, able to be consistently accessed via the ride line. Now, of course, there are Divine Skills that are stronger than others, but they still work flavor-wise for both the units in question and the nations they belong to, and don't have absurdly broken numbers attached to them. It's because of this why I'm super excited to see where Divines takes the game and what kind of designs, well, Bushiroad will implement for future Divine Skills and just more cards in general. But what do you think? Are Divine Skills a kind of fix Overtrigger in the design space, or what kind of Divine Skills would you like to see? Well, I've been Joseph, and well, this has been my ramblings for the week. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.